Thanks to him, out here in McCook Lake, homeowners along North Shore and Penrose Drive are still processing the wreckage they've seen since Sunday.
The destruction it's pretty unbelievable. I've never really thought about how far does that dirt go down under my house, and I mean it's just gone.
I actually was on North Shore Drive the entire night. I never left the street. So I saw how all of this happened. It wasn't that this was such major rushing. It wasn't like the Colorado River coming at you. It was slow moving, maybe 3 to 5 mile an hour water going over the street.
Many are still without power and water, but the biggest frustration is still in the lack of communication during the event and after the devastation.
It needs some improvement for sure. And I get it, this is absolutely unprecedented for probably Union County and North Sioux. But I think we can probably hopefully make some improvements in there fast too.
Despite lack of communication, the neighborhood has stepped in to rebuild themselves. Like how Dogwood Pet Hotel has become a donation center to provide clothing for those who need it.
We have a large quantity of beds, blankets, bedding, towels, stuff like that, as well as clothing and shoes and stuff for the people that have kind of lost everything.
And in the past few days, the Isaac Walton League has become command center for donations and volunteers.
As soon as they arrive here, they are flying out of here. The people are so appreciative of all the donations. We've been the meal place since day one. The Red Cross is feeding them today. Tyson, tomorrow it's a bunch of volunteers. Hy-Vee's coming in, a bunch of volunteers. Fairway came out and dropped off a bunch of fresh fruit and vegetables.
Ike's Place says Tyson Foods is sending over 4 semis of donated food over the next couple of days. From McCook Lake, Alyssa Tatsch, KCAU 9 News. Thanks, Tim and Sophie. The students of Riverside Elementary were gathered for a surprise assembly this morning to watch their principal get a fresh new haircut in support of Chris McCarthy, a special education teacher who is currently battling stage 4 metastatic breast cancer.
When I told him this week that I was going to shave my head and he said he would, it was just overwhelming. It was, it's an unbelievable feeling.
For the past 2 years, Chris McCarthy has been battling with cancer that has metastasized to her bones and her liver. But it wasn't until Wednesday that she took the step to shave her head.
I'm probably on my 6th treatment, different kind of treatment, and this is the first treatment that's affected my hair. And this week I realized that I was losing my hair and I didn't want to look like a molten chicken, and so finally my husband went ahead and shaved it.
After seeing McCarthy's new look, head principal Preston Fisher and several other Riverside teachers decided to rock the same haircut in solidarity.
Just kind of a spur of the moment thing, just to show her that I'm here to support her, and also to model for the kids that, we to really care and love each other.
As McCarthy continues her treatment, she knows she can always find a web of support at Riverside Elementary.
It's really awesome to see if she has to be gone for like an appointment or something that she has to go to, or if she's having a rough day because of the illness. The staff is great about helping to cover anything that she needs covered.
The staff is the reason I'm here, and it's the reason I keep working, because they're keeping me going. The kids and the staff in this school are the reason I think that I'm still living.
McCarthy says she told her oncologist she plans to continue teaching until she is 70 years old. From Riverside, Alyssa Tatsch,
He was on the
KCAU
front
9
lines
News.
in Vietnam and faced many losses of those close to him. But what he brought back changed the lives of dozens of young athletes.
That's right. And KCAU 9 News reporter Alyssa Tatsch shares the story of Vietnam veteran David Gomez with us in this week's edition of Veterans Voices.
David J. Gomez graduated from Sioux City East in 1965 before he was drafted and joined the U.S. Marine Corps. In 1966, Gomez served his first tour in Vietnam, where he was on the front lines.
I lost 54 guys, 54 brothers. And now when those anniversary dates come up, instead of going back into my bunker and isolating, now I think about them, how they laughed, the stories that they told about their moms, how well they cooked, and their dad, and them working on their car, things like that, all the good times, how they laughed. And that takes away the pain, takes away the sorrow.
During his following 2 tours, Gomez was promoted to Lance Corporal and was appointed the team leader for Recon and SOG. During his time in Vietnam, Gomez found his band of brothers.
Some of the good times I can't talk about. But, made really good friends. That was the only time in my life, since I was 19, that I could truly trust somebody.
After being discharged in 1970, Gomez used his leadership skills to serve in a different way.
I did two things that were very enjoyable in life, and coaching was one of them. It changed everything for me.
Gomez coached youth football for 30 years, passing on lessons to the 7th and 8th grade student athletes at Sioux City East Middle School.
My therapist at the vet center said, well, you're giving back because you took a life. And then I had another therapist who said, no, you're training guys to go to the Marine Corps. Because a lot of kids, that after they graduated high school that I coach, joined the Marine Corps. So I had two different theories of what I was doing. And my theory was, I just love coaching football.
Before retiring, Gomez also coached youth baseball for 22 years and youth girls basketball, men's baseball, and women's volleyball and softball. For Veterans Voices, I'm Melissa Tatsch.
In our top story now at 6.
Thanks, Tim and Sophie. Buchanan Avenue is a paved and gravel road, but with the amount of traffic that passes through, the condition of the roadway has become a safety concern for residents.
It's so washboardy that you can't go over a few miles an hour without bouncing across to the other side or into the ditch.
Residents say most drivers choose to avoid the washboards altogether, creating an even more dangerous roadway.
Over the years, I've had 2 cars upside down in the ditch in front of my house because they got on the washboards and bounced across the road and ended upside down in the ditch. The washboards are so bad where 140th meets Correctionville Road that me and a lot of other people drive up the wrong side of the road because it's smoother.
You go a half a mile north, there's a corner, and that's constantly washboards. And you're going around a corner, you can't control your vehicle. So it's either go in the other lane, which is not good, or do 2 miles an hour for, a quarter mile to get off this road. So it's just a dangerous, dangerous situation.
Woodbury County Engineer Mark Nara says the reason the gravel roads seem worse than usual is due to the dry weather.
We tried to deliver as good quality roads as we can, but right now the weather's working against us. It's great for harvest. It's also one of the reasons you're seeing some of our roads take a little bit of a beating right now too, is we've got a lot of trucks and ag equipment running up and down them.
But the main issue is finding the funds in order to pave the roads.
We have probably 10 to 12 miles of gravel roads that really ought to be in our paved road system right now. It's just finding that money to get them into that construction phase and get them improved.
Nara says now that the dust control season is over, the engineers will be maintaining Buchanan Avenue and the surrounding roads twice a week. From Sioux City, Alyssa Tatsch, KCAU 9 News.
In our top story at 10.
Thanks, Tim and Sophie. I'm here at the 185th, and today I got an inside look at what a typical air refueling trip looks like. This morning, the 185th Air Refueling Wing opened its doors to some folks in the community to see what a typical training day looks like.
We had 6 A-10 aircraft out of Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. They needed some extra fuel for their training because as small aircraft, they can't haul as much fuel. So we were able to get our training done as well as help them complete more of their training.
The 3-hour mission was successful on all fronts.
Today was a great day, getting to go fly, just flying down to Missouri just for a couple hours and doing refueling. I find that super fun. It's a good way for the day to go by fast too as well.
I hope everyone enjoyed the flight. It's kind of cool to see, you got to see a taste of my world.
From the foreign object damage walk at 8 a.m. to the actual takeoff at noon, the 185th showed that it takes more than the people on the plane to run a successful mission.
It takes a whole group here at the 185th. It's not just the flyers that are doing the mission, the maintenance people, as well as a lot of the back office shops that you don't see that are doing a lot of our stuff to make sure we maintain our currency, make sure that we can go fly as well.
And today's training proved the importance of the men and women in the 185th Air Refueling Wing.
In order to get airplanes and cargo and people moved all around the world, without air refueling, it would be impossible to do so.
Today's flight dispersed more than 30,000 pounds of fuel. From the 185th, Alyssa Tatsch, KCAU 9 News. Thanks, Tim and Sophie. The Iowa Department of Natural Resources has been working to reintroduce what biologists consider a living fossil, the paddlefish.
These fish appeared in the fossil record about 125 million years ago, so they've been around a long, long time.
For the first time in more than 100 years, the paddlefish will be swimming in Okoboji waters.
A native fish from the Missouri River Basin that historically would have been able to get up to the lakes through the Little Sioux River. And the dams that were constructed at the turn of the century and a little after stopped that migration from occurring. So the population dwindled, and the last record that we have of a paddlefish being caught in the Iowa Great Lakes was 1920.
But before the fish can make themselves at home, Iowa DNR is making sure the paddlefish will safely adapt to their new waters.
We don't know a lot about how these fish will react, how many will survive in the lakes, and so one way that we can get at that is to tag these fish. We tag them with a hydroacoustic tag, so it's a tag that actually emits a sonic burst. That code is picked up by hydrophones in the lakes, and therefore we can track the fish within the lakes.
With new tags to keep track of the fish, the DNR is excited to bring these fish back to the Great Lakes and hopefully keep them there.
We battle invasive species a lot. We talk a lot about invasive species management, so it's really fun and gratifying to bring back a native species that would have been here historically.
I've seen a lot of game fish in my time and enjoyed being around them, and this is just one more addition that'll make the great Iowa Great Lakes great.
Iowa DNR says 1,900 paddlefish will be reintroduced to the Okoboji chain by the end of this week. From Spirit Lake,
Valentine's treat was
KCAU 9 News. With a bouquet of roses in the trunk of their car, one of the barbershop quartets from the Siouxland Discovery Chorus made their way around Siouxland to make people's Valentine's Day.
Heart of my heart, I love you.
Two barbershop quartets from the Siouxland Discovery Chorus spread the gift of music to Siouxland residents this Valentine's Day, a tradition that has gone on for more than 30 years.
We've done it enough years that the word kind of gets out when it gets close to Valentine's Day. We'll get a lot of calls. We've done advertising, obviously, on it too. So people contact us and we line it up as best we can.
Whether it's a planned visit or a surprise attack, the reactions of the recipients are the most exciting part of the performances.
Well, that's the fun part. The reactions are the fun part. Some of them get really emotional, and then there's others that just get upset and just say, "I'm going to kill him," you know.
Oh, for gosh sakes, what is he doing? Oh, God.
The four vocalists enjoy being able to spread some happiness on the day to celebrate love.
I love being a part of it. I love making someone's day special, helping someone out for their special loved one.
And if you've dropped the ball on Valentine's Day, a surprise visit from one of the barbershop quartets can certainly make up for one of the past Valentine's Day fails.
I would definitely recommend this. The reactions we get from people are very positive, and it's actually not that expensive for what it is, so it's really worth it, I would say.
Those interested in joining the Siouxland Discovery Chorus are encouraged to attend the meetings every Monday at 7 at St. Mark's Church. Alyssa Tatsch, KCAU.
Be affected. The details in our top story at 10.
Thanks, Tim and Sophie. In a Facebook post made earlier this morning, the warming shelter announced it would be permanently closing its doors on October 1st due to declining resources and lack of community support.
At what point do you make the decision that you have to close down the shelter? Well, when you don't have enough money to operate it. It takes about $75,000 a month during our busy season to operate our shelter, and that's with bare minimum.
Even after switching to part-time hours to cut down on costs, the nonprofit says they exhausted every option to try to find resources to keep them afloat.
There aren't a lot of grants and that kind of thing out there for organizations and operations, which is what the bulk of our costs come from. So we've been exploring different ways to get funding, and we just don't have the community support necessary to keep moving forward.
We keep going back to the same people. So it has to be the entire community that supports us. And we have not had that yet. So we just have to close.
For the next month, the warming shelter will be utilizing their resources to find their current clients other housing options.
We don't want to send them out on the street. We want to have an alternative. So we're trying to get them placed elsewhere or, you know, in their next step of housing.
But with colder months ahead, the warming shelter worries about the impact their closure will have on those who need their services most.
This is God's work down here, you know, and it's to see it go away, it's going to be
it's going to be, eye-opening, but like in a bad way.
I'm afraid that there's going to be people that die and there's not going to be a place for them to go. The other shelters in town are absolutely necessary. They do great work, but the work we do is different and it's very necessary, and so it's heartbreaking. I'm fearful that we're going to have a really sad outcome this winter.
While in operation, the warming shelter housed more than 130 individuals during winter nights. From downtown Sioux City, Alyssa Tatsch,
Much of
KCAU
northwest
9
Iowa
News.
has been cut off due to floods, covered streets, and washed out roads. To survey the extent of the damage, we sent KCAU 9 reporter Alyssa Tatsch to get an aerial view and share it with Siouxland.
Towns in northwest Iowa have been devastated by floods in the past 3 days. Governor Reynolds says more than 1,900 properties have been damaged and more than 8,000 people have been sheltered. As you can see, areas along the Ocheyedan River between Highway 60 and Spencer are submerged in water. Along the Little Sioux, Spencer's sewer system has been shut down with power being off in parts of town. The community has set up shelters on the north end and south end of town. While lake levels are high in Okoboji, boaters are advised to proceed with the no-wake rule. The Okoboji Community School District is currently taking donations to help those affected by the flooding in Spencer. The flooding of the Floyd River has covered several towns on the west side of Highway 60. The city of Sheldon has asked its residents to cease water use due to the exceeding flow from the Floyd River. While folks in Sioux County were hit pretty hard on Friday, Plymouth County towns had time to prepare. Lamar's bermed their airway in preparation for the oncoming water, and while the dikes held up, majority of the taxiway was submerged. Lamar's Little League fields are completely engulfed near Highway 3. And along Highway 75 south, Merrill has water on both sides of the train tracks. Hinton faced minimal damage after the town built a dike along the bridge of C60, essentially preventing the water from making it to the west side of town. As things clear up, communities are working to repair the damages done by this natural disaster. Alyssa Tatsch, KCAU 9 News.